Raymond, you're muted, but you can go ahead.
Okay. You guys are probably too young to remember Romper Room. We're like, I see Danelli, I see Dr. Amy Smith, Romper, Stomper, Bumper, Boo. No? Yeah. Okay. So here we go. Meeting reconvene to open session at, what time is it? 7:35. Public report of action taken in closed session. On item A, public health emergency, no action was taken, nothing to report out. On item B, public employee performance evaluation, executive director, the board took no action in closed session. On item C, public employee discipline dismissal release pursuant to government code 54957B1. The board took action by a vote of 5-0 to accept Jill Marks's resignation from the executive director position effective June 30th, 2021, and enter into a release agreement with her. All right, and that leads us to flag salute. So Paul, you did such an awesome job before. Would you mind doing it again? Pretty please. All right.
Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, public comment, oral communications, non-agenda items. The public, including public attending the teleconference location, are invited to address the board regarding items not listed on the agenda. No individual presentation shall be for more than 3 minutes, and the total time for this purpose shall not exceed 15 minutes. Ordinarily, board members will not respond to presentations and no action can be taken. However, the board may give direction to staff following a presentation. Please turn in the request to address the OPA Board of Directors form and submit it in order to address the Oxford Preparatory Academy Board of Directors. Item 6, items for, oh, I'm sorry. Amy, do we have any public comment card?
Do not. We don't.
Okay. Item number 6, items. Okay. Item 6, items for consent. Approved minutes from the regular meeting of the OPA Board of Directors on March 25th, 2021, and the regular meeting of OPA Board of Directors on April 2nd, 2021, and as well approved personnel report for March 2021. And those items down below, including item C, approved Pacific Life Foundation 3 T's of Education grant for $6,000 designated to replace outdated teacher Chromebooks at OPA SOC. It is recommended that the Board of Directors approve consent items A through C. May I have a motion, please?
I make a motion to approve consent items A through C.
Thank you very much, Delight. May I have a second?
I second the motion.
Okay, Paul, I got you there. And then we're going to do a roll call. So Danelli?
Aye.
Jackson, aye. Paul Kagoo?
Aye.
And Amy Smith?
Aye.
Delight Travis?
Aye.
This motion carries unanimously. Item number 7, director reports. Would like to start with Ms. Delight Travis.
I'd just like to thank all the staff and teachers for all your hard work on getting the school ready to reopen. I know it's not an easy undertaking, so I just want to do a shout out to you guys for everything you're doing to get us ready to reopen.
Okay. And how about Dr. Amy Smith?
I'll just keep it brief and say ditto to what Delight said. Thank you to everyone. Your hard work has not gone unnoticed, and we appreciate your continued commitment to the students at OPA.
Okay, well said. Paul Kagoo?
Same here. Thanks to the staff, teachers, parents, students, everybody. You know, David reminded us is the fourth, or Jill reminded us is the 4th time that we are reopening the school. So thanks for all the hard work. Also, on that note, I want to thank Jill for all the work that she's done I don't know if this is her last board meeting, but if it is, then we'll certainly miss you. Thank you for all the work that you've done. You're one of the first staff members I spoke to when you accepted my application for a board position in November. So I know I've interacted with you since then, and I've really come to enjoy learning about OPA in our one-on-one conversations, and also learning about, board norms and how to sort of be a better board member. So good luck with your retirement, and good luck.
Okay, and then in the interest of, thanks for doing that, Paul. And in the interest, Delight or Amy Smith, if you guys would like to sort of say anything else, because I should have prefaced this with, this is Jill's last board meeting. So if you guys want to say anything, add anything to your director report, Delight or Amy, feel free to do that.
I'm sorry, I didn't know
And then-
that, so. Thanks, Raymond. I'll let you go first, Delight, since you spoke first.
Oh, well, I just want to thank Jill for all of her hard work, and it's been an absolute pleasure to work with you. And I ditto what Paul said. I've really enjoyed our one-on-one conversations and just talking vision with you and the possibilities of where OPA can go. And you've really set us up to be very successful. So thank you for all your hard work.
So I'll say ditto to that once again, to Delight and Paul. And I will say, reflecting on, yes, learning more about OPA and being interested in getting involved through the board, that wouldn't have happened for me if Jill hadn't been involved, probably, because she was so helpful and provided me information and was just very welcoming. So thank you so much, Jill, and I wish you all the best in your next endeavors. You will be missed.
Okay, Denali?
I just wanted to say, I'm sorry, Jill, I didn't realize too that it was going to officially kind of be your last board meeting. But I wanted to say thank you so much for taking on OPA at a time when we really were not, it was an attractive job to take. And I just really, really appreciate the willingness that you had to take us on and to bring us through the other end of what was, we didn't have a ton of hope, and I know that the whole crew and everybody that is part of the team and all of you, just thank you for bringing us to where we are right now with such a bright future. And we're just very, very appreciative of all the hard work, and I'm sure sleepless nights and a lot of stress and a well-deserved retirement. So I'm excited for you. And we're just really grateful. So thank you. And thanks for everybody who's working on, in addition to that, working to bring our school back again for the 4th time. So appreciate everyone's hard work.
It's like Groundhog Day opening. Okay, Jill. All right, Jill. I want to remind everybody that when we met, OPA didn't have many friends. And we just had an ED candidate that we made an offer to, who got spooked and bailed because OPA was not in a good way. And you were unafraid. You were unafraid. And we shared with you candidly what was happening. And you picked up the torch and you said to all of us, I will show you the way. And I will never give up. And you never, ever did. And there were 100 times when I was afraid it was over. And you never gave up hope, and you never gave up the fight. You kept that torch lit. You kept your head held high. And you met with everybody, and with confidence, you looked them in the face and said, OPA is a great place to be. We have a great staff. We have great students. And we're going to be here. We're going to be here tomorrow. We're going to be here next year. We're going to be here in 5 years. And you never gave up. And you were that torch bearer. You were that person. You were that lighthouse that showed us the way. I appreciate you. Thanks for that. And I
Now is
hope
it my
Amy
turn?
pins your video.
Mhm.
Yes. No, don't you have an the director's report or something?
I do. I just had a couple comments. Again, I just wanted to lead off saying never have I seen nor heard nor hope to wish on anybody having to reopen school 4 times and have a full reopening. And you've all been tremendous. I mean, everybody in this community, but you know, hats off to Amy, David, the chancellors, the deans. Wow, it's exhausting, and you still have energy. You know, you're like, okay, and next year they're already there. They're already down the road, guys. So it's just again, that's just what the passion and commitment, and I think thinking strategically about what a great future OPA has in store. That's what's keeping that fire lit when I think other educators are just like hanging on, waiting to get through the end of the year. The staff is like, yeah, you know, we'd like to, you know, get there, but they're already talking about next year and strategic planning. And so you've taken really great care of everybody. And otherwise people would be just too exhausted to do that. And it's also such an interesting time because we have done the impossible in an ever-changing year. You know, I think this is in all our lives, in our communities, in this school. We've done the impossible. Imagine this scenario. And you know, as Dr. Kernan is going to lead us off in that next discussion of opening up for full day. Again, what value we brought in a very impossible year. And lastly, never has there been a time when there is so much difference and variability from school district to school district, from charter school to charter school, in terms of how students are ending the year in terms of their instructional program. There's federal and state guidelines and directives everyone's following, but we're fairly autonomous, and never there's been a time when there's not been so little lockstep, even though the critical things we're all doing, lockstep about how you test, lockstep about how kids are attending school. So again, unprecedented times. We're learning so much this year, and it's been great to learn it with you. And gosh, what a great way to just end the last few weeks of my professional career. It's always been exciting. It's been tough. Sometimes it's been a pleasure most of the time. And again, you're positioned so beautifully to lead not only Southern California in terms of a local educational agency, but also the state. And so you don't need just luck with that, but just my best wishes, my support. I'm here for information, but not to make any decisions, okay? So thank you.
Raymond, you're muted.
No crying. No crying going on here. All right. So that leads us to items for presentation. Item A, OPA financial report for January 2021. Ms. Parikh from Ed Tech.
Sure, let me share my screen. So today we're going over the financials through March. So just starting with OPA SOC, overall for this year, you are projected with an operating income of 1.1 million. This is about the same as last month, though we've had some kind of reshuffling in terms of expenses. And so I'll go through kind of the shifts that we've seen since the last forecast we presented. Just starting left to right, we have seen savings about $34,000 related to, we had added a placeholder for the executive director transition to start in March. Since the transition starts in June 1st, there were savings of about $34,000. We also adjusted the repairs and maintenance budget by about $10,000 in savings. And since we've been trending low in terms of that cost all year and don't anticipate any big purchases through the end of the year. The nutrition program is trending about $8,000 higher than what we budgeted, and this is related to this year with the state waivers. We are receiving a higher rate of reimbursement than we have from the state in previous years, and so we're receiving more per meal from the state, and so it's trending about $8,000 better than what we had budgeted. The local revenue, $8,000, $6,000 of that is what you just approved in the consent calendar, the Pacific Life donation, and then $2,000 of that is interest revenue from your county account where you have most of your funds. And then the service fee savings, it's a small amount overall, $4,000 in expenses related around a few small areas, but some of the bigger areas is around banking fees. So seeing that was trending low at this point, we went ahead and trued that up to what you've been spending in terms of fees to your bank. And then the increases that we're seeing, that kind of where we're investing these, kind of reshuffling these funds into. There was a prior year revenue adjustment of a $6,000 negative adjustment for lottery funds. So lottery funds get trued up in terms of the amount that you receive in the next fiscal year. So related to last year, we received $6,000 less than what we were anticipating. Copier lease update about $6,000. That was a result of an adjustment based on the contract negotiations with the copier. And then there was $20,000 increased costs that we put in as placeholders for running the extended day program for the rest of the school year. So some anticipated costs related to that. And then special ed expenses at SOC, about $32,000 related to services that are being provided. Based on the anticipated trend at this point, we're anticipating that to the cost for special ed services to be higher than what we had originally budgeted. For SV, we are seeing similar adjustments. Overall, SV is forecasted at a $766,000 operating income. This is $30,000 better than what we presented last time. So overall, the savings that we're seeing is kind of outweighing the increased expenses that we have at SV. So the changes are kind of the same areas, but just different scale. So for SV, we're seeing about $23,000 in savings related to the contract negotiations for the copier lease update, $16,000 in savings related to the executive director transition. Nutrition program is about $10,000 better than what we had forecasted. The special ed here, in SV's case, we're not seeing an increase in expenses, but we are seeing a higher reimbursement rate from your special ed revenue. So basically increasing your revenues by about $8,000. And this is reimbursement for your mental health services in particular. The service fee savings, again, related to banking fees primarily, though it does include a few small other adjustments in terms of licenses and fees as well. And then prior year adjustment is related to lottery and the extended day program, and an increase estimated of $26,000. In terms of the check and credit card registers that we flagged, the eLuma and the effectual education are both the checks that we had flagged in terms of the special ed contractor adjustment that we made at SOC. So the increased costs that we're seeing in terms of special ed at SOC in particular. And then Troxel Communications, overall, most of this was within forecast. There was just about $1,000 that was higher than what we had forecasted. And so I just flagged that as it was kind of exceeding what we had originally anticipated in the forecast. And that's all I have, unless there's any questions.
Any questions from the board? Okay, that's item B, operations update from Mr. Barley and Ms. Palomino. Thank you, Ms. Parikh.
Good evening, everyone. I think Dr. Kernan, you're making Rosa
Rosa's already a co-host.
co-host.
Yep.
Okay.
Perfect. Terrific. Thank you. So a couple updates, just before we get into a contracts vendor update. I wanted to reassure everyone in the community that we've been working hard to prepare the campuses for reopening, or not reopening. I'm talking about increased, presence on the campus on Monday, the 26th. So PPE, cleaning materials, all that. I know Dr. Kernan will talk more about, that, but everything's ready to go. I wanted to reassure everybody, and the teams have been working on it. So very excited about that. Excuse me. So I had asked our newest fiscal services director to work on a project, both for her own development and learning about OPA, as well as for the community. So this presentation is not too long, but it's here to educate the community and our esteemed board members on OPA's top vendors. Essentially, this is vendors who are $15,000 and above in annual expenditures. So some of our key contracts, okay? And as we're entering into the budget season, it seemed like the time was right for us to spend a little time on this. We also have listed renewal and RFP, request for proposal planning, so that you get an idea, a snapshot of which ones we look at on alternating years, so you kind of see the workflow. And then we are ensuring that all our vendor disclosures are in place, our vendor packets that vendors are required to disclose to us, ensuring that there's no conflict of interest and that we're definitely on the up and up on all our relationships. And then this is really just, I call it kind of an internal audit of one of our fiscal processes. So I'm going to turn it over to Rosa now to go into more detail and share some information. Thank you, Rosa.
Alrighty, thank you, David. Here we have the contract list again, like David mentioned, just to kind of give you a visual of that list, those vendors exceeding that $15,000 limit. We have here on that first column the vendor name, followed by a brief description of their goods or services that they provide to OPA, followed by a year-to-date amount that we've paid out. This is from July 1st, 2020 through March 31st, 2021. And then a suggested year for that contract to renew or take a look at that RFP process. And then going with the next column, the start and end date of some of these contracts or licenses or curriculum material that we've purchased. And some of these dates say either ongoing, meaning we don't have specific contracts or date, they're just kind of ongoing purchases that we make with these vendors. And then lastly, the last column is the vendor packet information, whether we have them on file. And I do want to apologize to the board here. I should have had a legend to identify, what the different letters represent, NA being not applicable, Y being that yes, we do have a vendor packet on file, or a P that means pending. And so those that have the a P, we are currently working on them and getting those vendor packets within our files here. Okay. From that big spreadsheet, then I want to just kind of highlight some of the upcoming contract renewals. Again, these are just a few of them but are bigger ticket items, big dollar amounts. Aon Risk Insurance, Capo, EdTech, Kaiser, and United Healthcare. Kaiser and United Healthcare, those are our main health carriers, but all of our health benefits are renewing at the end of this fiscal year. But again, I just want to highlight the two main ones within our benefit packages. Okay, and then our next here we have just kind of future contract renewals, just to keep on our radar. We have Christy White Associates, our auditors, as well as Revolution Foods. Both of them are ending June 30th, 2021, with each with the suggested RFP date of when we should start the process, with Christy White being around December, and for Revolution Foods being around January 2022. These are not set dates, they're just suggested dates. So, these dates can move either, before or after, but they're just suggested dates. Any questions so far?
Rosa, I would like to say you guys have done a great job at going through the vendor and the contracting process. I really appreciate that. And just for the benefit of my board mates, I want to point out just a couple of things that are included in the vendor onboarding package, which are things like any present and or prospective vendor has to fill out a vendor application. And part of that vendor application includes questions like this. Do you have any relationship to any OPA staff members, any OPA admin, or even previous, they have to disclose that. So you're asking really probative and great questions about things that matter a great deal to us. So that's really important. Can you please put a vendor application? Can you guys email that to all the members of the board just so they see what the current version of that vendor application package is? Because it's really comprehensive and we should be very proud of that. And I think it would be great to get that in front of.
Of course, we will do that.
Okay. And then the next thing is these dates, the RFP December 2021. Do we have a master calendar of activities for OPA? And if we don't, maybe we should come up with one so that these dates right now get put onto that master calendar that says, what are the things, middle of February, we should be applying for this grant, beginning of March, kind of thing like that. Is there some sort of master OPA activity calendar that we have?
Yes, Jill, go ahead, Jill.
Yes, in the board folder, there are calendars. One is, as you said, it's an activity calendar in terms of what you can expect as a board member and what should be coming up each month. But also you have access to what staff is working on, which also kind of are all the steps leading to the board action, such as this is the time we'll be bringing competitive bids. So it's in there. We can go through and just make sure it's as more detailed if needed. But yes, that's in the board folder and the calendars.
And we can definitely add these two contracts to that master kind of contract schedule, Raymond.
Okay, great.
Rosa, one question. The previous page, we have several contracts coming up for renewal in the next few months. My apologies if we spoke about it, but or not this page 4. Are we? Yeah, the next page. Are we? Do we know? I mean, is this all sorted out already? The insurance, the risk insurance, and the school. I guess we won't negotiate, but there are 4 contracts that are pretty beefy contracts.
We're so this will be our 3rd year. Okay, that I've been working on it, Mr. Kagoo. So, and for everyone's benefit. So, we did really deep dive the last 2 years. So this is going to be a renewal because for insurance, as you're probably aware, you want to have that experience rating and not change brokers nor carriers every single year. So we'll make some tweaks to things, but we did save about over 200,000 on our risk insurance last year. We're pretty proud of that. And then our benefits really do seem to work for our employee population after some struggles, 3 years ago. So I think we've hit our stride. And then next year we would most likely go the deep dive RFP again for those. Make sense?
Makes sense. And I'd just like to give a shout out to David. He has really worked hard to negotiate our insurance stuff down. I can't commend him enough for what he's done with it. If Paul, if you only knew, he's done a great job.
Thank you. Any other questions on the?
My car insurance is coming up for renewal. Should I reach out to you?
Absolutely.
Yeah, imagine you had 10 accidents and then your car renewal. That's when you really want David on your side.
I think too, Dave is a really good risk manager as well. And you can't have one without the other. So there's been a lot of that work as well.
Thank you. I'm blushing, everyone. Any other questions on the presentation? All right, Rosa, thank you so much.
Sure, I'll keep going. So here's Following, just some vendors to highlight with that high ticket dollar price. Again, these dollar amounts represent actuals from January through March 31st of the current fiscal year. Most of these vendors are curriculum related and special ed related, but again, we just want to highlight and show you kind of where we're at and what these vendors look like and what type of goods or services they're providing to our
And Rosa,
students here.
before you go any further, before you're gonna go, can you back to the portables? The Elite Modular, these are for the portable learning. This is a portable classroom, right?
There are
Yes.
2 portable classrooms
Yeah.
and the restrooms that go with
Okay.
them.
Got it. And we don't have any storage containers, right? Like shipping containers. Do we have those still?
We have some that are on the campuses, but we don't pay leases for them anymore.
We just own them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep.
Sorry, Rosa.
It's okay. And these are just, again, just finishing off the list with vendors to highlight with, again, high ticket prices, most of them being special ed related and curriculum. Here, Orange County Department of Ed, most of this cost relates to our oversight fees, and this will grow as well by the end of the fiscal year. And then just to kind of close out, just to give you quick updates of what we're working on with David and myself. Just again, as mentioned with the vendor packets, making sure they're updated, that we have vendor packets for everyone, updating our fiscal policies, auditing our vendor files, taking a look at purchasing procedures and processes now that, COVID's kind of, we're going back to normal sort of. So we kind of want to revisit some of these purchasing procedures and processes. These also taking a look at the certificate of insurance with our vendors. Each vendor will have a different certificate, if you will, with different limits, different types of coverages, depending on the goods and services that they provide here for OPA. So, any questions?
And you guys are not only making sure that they have an adequate level of insurance. As I understand it, you're actually having them name OPA as an insured. Is that right,
Yes.
David?
Absolutely, yes.
Excellent.
And
Excellent.
the other thing
excellent.
is
which
we
is a
get
huge
guidance.
thing, by the way.
It is. We get guidance from Aon on virtually every contract we sign, okay? And Amy can attest to that, Jill can too, and Rosa. So they're really good partners for us in just the day-to-day. We have a contract, what kind of insurance do we need? Does this look appropriate? So we have those extra expert eyeballs looking at the COIs. Yep.
All right,
All right.
any other questions?
Thank you, Rosa.
Thank you, David. Thank you,
Excellent.
everyone.
Okay. So that's just item C, review of comparable compensation data for charter school executive director, Mr. Barley.
Yes, sir. So I think Dr. Kernan's just going to, in the interest of time, put up this document. So for everyone to be aware, OPA, Board of Directors, and OPA periodically, we look at salary survey data, right? And in this particular case, the board requested that YMC, Young, Many, and Poor, our charter school attorney group or law firm, they also have an employment law sector in their practice. They were asked to do a salary survey for the executive director. It was just conducted in March. And I wanted to report out on that. Simply, I'm going to read this so it's very clear, and I'll try and go quickly. But this is from Wayne Stumpler, who is at that firm. He's a partner in the firm. Prior to the board action to approve any decisions regarding executive compensation, including approval of base salary increases, incentive compensation, bonuses, etc., the board must first exercise due diligence and review of comparable compensation practices to ensure compliance with IRS restrictions on excess compensation for nonprofit executives, including the executive director of Oxford Preparatory Academy. The board's review and approval of the executive compensation must occur initially upon hiring the executive, whenever the term of employment, if any, is renewed or extended, and whenever the officer's compensation is modified. In reviewing the reasonableness of compensation for nonprofit executives, the IRS considers compensation broadly and will look at the value of salary as well as non-fixed compensation, incentive compensation, bonuses, and benefits. If the IRS determines compensation is not reasonable, severe consequences may result. The following is a summary of findings subsequent to review and comparison of sampling of total compensation levels received by public school leaders in the Southern California area. Compensation figures are from the State Controller's Office for 2019 calendar year, their most recent available. Student enrollment figures are from the California Department of Education for the 2019-20 school year. The Executive Director of Oxford Preparatory Academy oversees 2 charter schools in Orange County with a total population of approximately 1,300 students. Based on these facts, the study compared salary packages of similarly situated public school leaders. The charter school and school district surveyed in the summary have an average population of approximately 1,270 students. So it's right in line with our size. That's what's really important for us to be aware. Of the educational leaders sampled, the average total compensation package was approximately $257,000, and that's total compensation. The average base salary is approximately $214,700. The median base salary is approximately $204,600. So this next page, and thank you, Dr. Kernan, for allowing me to kind of read down here. These were independently selected by the employment team at YMC, Wayne Sumpler and his team, as being relevant comparison schools, okay, and positions relevant to our number. So you really look at the size of the school, the population that you're serving, the scope of the job, that kind of thing. So these 6 are listed there on the left, and you all can read those. And then on the right, you see the number of students for each respectively, and then the compensation amounts that I just gave you the averages for a second ago. So wanted this to be shared openly in the meeting tonight, and I wanted to ask if the board has any questions or at all.
I don't have any questions.
Terrific. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for that. That leads us to items for presentation D, organizational report from Dr. Kernan.
Okay, and I will share my screen again. All right, so we have had a lot going on over the last couple of weeks. As everybody has kind of mentioned, we're getting ready to return to a longer extended day starting on Monday. And I just want to really thank our administrators, our teachers, our office staff, everybody. Again, we've done this multiple times throughout the year, and everyone has just been amazing at pulling together, getting everything done, and still having a positive attitude and really providing a welcoming environment each time that we invite more students back on campus. So again, our extended day program is going to start this Monday, April 26th. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it doesn't rain too hard. Just to kind of throw a little added bonus into our into our return. For Saddleback Valley, 438 students will be attending for the extended day, and 216 students are remaining fully virtual. So prior to this new switch, we were at about 60-40 for hybrid versus fully virtual students. And so quite a few more students returned now that we're providing the extended day, as well as, the numbers in Orange County of COVID cases have gone down and a lot more people are getting vaccinated. So I think parents are feeling a little bit more comfortable about sending kids back to school. For South Orange County, 486 students will be attending, and 313 students are attending virtually. On-campus students will start school at 8:30, and school will end at 2:40 each day. And in kind of looking at comparisons to our hybrid schedule, it increases the synchronous in-person instructional time by almost 3 hours. So this is really allowing our students to get a lot more time with their teachers in school. And we're able to extend the synchronous learning time as well for our virtual students with this new schedule, providing them with some small group instruction, a little bit longer synchronous time, and just more ability to get support and help and have individualized time with their teachers. So we're very excited to be able to have that increase in instructional time for both our in-person and virtual students. And looking at when we first were thinking about this, we were thinking that we were probably going to have about 25 to 30% of our students changing teachers. But our site administrators, we all kind of came up with really creative ways to try to limit the number of teacher switches. So we decreased it down to only about 85 at Saddleback Valley. And really because of their kindergarten teacher, or I think their kindergarten teachers being super creative, they're going to switch back and forth. So really all of the kindergarten teachers will still be seeing their original teachers, even if they did technically change classes. So, our teachers really got creative with this as well to make sure that we had as few teacher changes as possible. And then about 89 teacher changes at South Orange County. So we definitely really decreased that number that we were looking at the beginning. Students will also now be able to have in-person PE and music classes. They'll be able to have lunch on campus, more time for projects, small group, enrichment, and support each day. We are continuing to follow all CDC and CDPH health and safety protocols. Like David said, we have tons and tons of PPE. The county has, and the state has actually help provide a lot of PPE for us as well. I think we have enough masks to last us for another decade or so, but we really want to make sure that we have all of the supplies that we need to make sure that our students and our staff and everyone on campus is safe and healthy. So tables and desks will be regularly disinfected. Everyone has to wear a mask on campus at all times unless they're eating. When students are eating, they need to remain 6 feet apart and be outside. But anytime that students are inside or within 6 feet of each other or not eating, they have to be wearing masks. The physical distancing requirements between staff and students is still 6 feet. So really the only change there is that students can be within 3 feet of each other as long as they're wearing masks. Again, like I said, all eating will take place outside where there's a lot more ventilation, fresh air, and we're continuing to provide PPE for all of our staff, and just continuing to make sure that we're following all of those guidelines. Another thing that we have going on right now is our chancellors are working on the local control and accountability plan. So each year we we update our local control and accountability plans. This year, it's a 3-year plan, and this year happens to be the first year of that new 3-year plan with a new LCAP template, some new LCAP requirements. But really, the LCAP is a way for us to publicly show how we're spending our funds. So we get local control LCFF funding, and we have to show all of those actions and goals that we are doing in spending that money. and also show that we're spending the money for our different subgroups equitably. So our chancellors have been holding LCAP stakeholder meetings. We had a ton of people show up to the last meeting, and really getting a lot of input to determine what are the best actions, what are the best goals, what are the best focus areas for each one of our sites, looking forward to next year and then 3 years, and then really for the next 3 years. So we'll be continuing to do that, and those LCAPs will be presented at a public hearing for all stakeholder input. It's a requirement in California in our first June board meeting, and then it will be approved at our second board meeting in June. So again, we've had a ton of participation in the LCAP process. At our different LCAP meetings, we have parents and staff and administrators and board members. Other school groups that are involved in the LCAP process are the School Site Council, the Safety Committee, the English Learner Advisory Committee. We really try to get a lot of input. So we take all of the input that has also come in through all of our surveys, and just really try to put it together to create the best possible goals and actions for each one of our school sites. The next thing that's coming up in the spring, like I said, we've been pretty busy. So the next thing that we've been working on is California received waivers regarding several aspects of the state testing. And part of those waivers kind of have to do with how feasible it is to test all of the students using the very long SBAC test. That requires secure browsers and a lot of logistics, and also takes away a great deal of instructional time. So because of those things, because of the logistical issues as well as the lost instructional time, the state has allowed schools to use alternate assessments to provide that state assessment data for math and ELA. So in grades TK through 2, those grades don't actually take the end of the year state assessments, so they'll sort of stay the same. But they will be taking they will continue to take the iReady math and ELA tests, or math and ELA assessments that we give to all students in grades K through 5 for ELA and math. And then grades 3 through 5, the state has approved for us to use the iReady assessments that we're already giving. We give those 4 times a year. And so we'll be able to not really take any more instructional time away. We had already planned to give those assessments. They're much shorter assessments. So we'll be using those for our state testing for grades 3 through 5. And parents will receive a score report similar to the score report they receive from the SBAC testing at the end of the year for their students' iReady results. And then for grades 6 through 8, we'll be using the iReady assessments for ELA, because our 6th through 8th graders already take 4 times a year those iReady assessments for ELA. And then because we don't use the iReady assessments for our 6th through 8th graders, they'll be taking the Smarter Balanced math test. But the Smarter Balanced math test now, the state has kind of shortened it. And so it shouldn't take much more instructional time than the iReady test. It'll be done through the computer virtually. And again, parents will receive score reports from both iReady and the Smarter Balanced tests in the fall. And then we have a lot of upcoming events and activities. So aside from just going back to the extended day schedule, we are adding in a whole bunch of extra things as well at the end of the year. Cross country started at both of our campuses, and it's been a huge success. Our kids are loving getting out there, running around, just kind of, being out in the fresh air together and getting some physical activity. Both of our music teachers have started music enrichment programs. There's after school or in-person marching bands starting at SOC, and then different music enrichment classes starting at Saddleback Valley. We had our 8th grade parent meeting a few weeks ago, and we're able to let our 8th graders know that we are going to have an in-person promotion, still following those physical distancing and CDC guidelines. But we are excited that we're going to be able to bring our 8th graders together and have that in-person really special promotion night. We're also working on a lot of end of the year activity planning for 8th grade, looking at possibly doing a drive-in movie night and some different sports games, like a staff versus student or student versus student kickball and softball games. We also have, we're partnering with the Anti-Defamation League to provide some anti-bias training for our staff. And it's something that our staff has been asking for in their surveys. And it's something that, you know, really with everything going on in the world, we think it's incredibly important for our staff. And then we're looking at also partnering with them to become a No Place for Hate school next year, where, you know, it's a student-led initiative to really promote having a welcoming school environment where all students feel comfortable, all students feel safe. And so we're really looking forward to having our PAL classes kind of kick that off and really making sure that our OPA schools are inclusive for all students. So we're excited about that. And then we have our social studies pilots that are going on right now. And by the end of the year, we're going to be picking which social studies curriculum that we'll be adopting. And the great part about this is the last subject area that we're getting curriculum for. So after this pilot next year, we will have new standards-based, up-to-date curriculum in every subject area that has, you know, online access, assessments, all of the different components that make the curriculum so good and so engaging for our students. So we're really excited about that. And then coming up next Friday and Saturday, we have our board governance retreat where we're going to be getting together Friday night and Saturday morning and just kind of going over our board norms and policies. You know, we have a somewhat new board, and so we want to just kind of build that those board relationships and strengthen those. And then we're also looking at having, and Paul's going to talk about this in a little bit, we have our strategic planning committee, and we're looking at forming some focus groups to really get an idea of where we want to go as an organization, what our goals and focus areas should be as an organization, and just do some really forward looking strategic planning for OPA. So so that's kind of some of the upcoming events and activities that we have going on. Any questions?
I have a question or a request maybe. The anti-bias training that you talked about for staff sounds super interesting, and I'm really glad that there's demand for that. I'm wondering if in a future board meeting we could get a presentation around OPA's diversity, equity, and inclusion activities, kind of just the menu of what's been happening and what the plans are for the future to keep that at the forefront of everything that we're doing. I would really appreciate seeing that kind of snapshot, and I think it'd be good to share with the public as well.
Yes, I can. We can put that together.
Thank you.
Jamie, I have a comment and a question. Again, I want to commend you guys for the innovation that you've shown, you and the staff have shown in keeping less than 10%. I think I calculated it's about 10 to 15% at the most of kids who had to change teachers. And it looks like a lot of teachers sort of are going above and beyond, trying to make sure that they don't disturb the children for the next 6 weeks. So again, I want to commend you guys for doing that. And I said this last board meeting as well. While we're a small school and we can be nimble, it also reduces the opportunities we have to be innovative, right? I mean, other larger school districts are consolidating virtual classrooms across campuses, and that's how they're able to do a lot of the in-person instruction. But us keeping SOC and SV separate with the teachers and still being able to do this, I really appreciate it. I'm sure the parents whose kids are transferring, I'm sure they have to face some difficulties, but I know you're managing that. So thank you for that. And the question, the follow-up from last board meeting, I think we talked about, you guys thinking about getting like some kind of help in the office for, the senior staff. That was one question. And a related question is, now that we have a new executive director, I was curious how you're making progress on bringing on a new CAO as well. So if either now or next board meeting, I would love to get an update on that.
I can just quickly go over a little bit of that. We're working on the job description for that administrative or executive assistant that will have also some duties of working with the board as well as working with the executive staff. It's a common practice for that person to kind of have those roles in other schools and districts, kind of as the superintendent or executive director's assistant. So we're working on the job description for that. And we just had our panel interviews for our chief academic officer this week. And those went really well. And we had 3 candidates who were sent forward for a second round. And we're going to be having that second round this Monday of interviews with those top candidates. So we're really wanting to move that ahead quickly for that person to come on board. It worked out really well. We with Denise, our chancellor over at SOC, we were able to bring her in about a month or 2 before the end of the school year. And it was really great for her to be able to kind of get to know the school, get to know our processes before going off into the summer and having to plan for the following year. So we're hoping to be able to kind of have a similar timeline for the CAO to be able to hopefully maybe come on board a little bit early so that they can kind of get to know the organization, get to know the staff, and really help in planning ahead for the next school year.
And Dr. Cardan, I'll just add that I wanted to give some props to Eva, our HR manager, who through the ED process, which we're following for the CAO process, we're getting really good at these, and Eva really has mastered it. So I want to thank her publicly for that as well.
Eva's done an amazing job of getting everything together and getting all the candidates and the panelists wrangled and
making it happen.
Done,
yep. Making it happen quickly. Yep.
So any other questions?
All right, so that leads us to the full steam ahead summer program, item E.
And I'm gonna share again. So all schools all public schools in California have the opportunity to be part of the expanding Learning Opportunities Grant, or the ELO grant. And this is in response to the fact that so much instructional time has been lost through the COVID-19 pandemic. And so we're receiving funding really to kind of help to bring back some of those lost instructional minutes. And so our apportionment, our tentative apportionment of this grant is about $843,894. And that can be dedicated to things like expanded learning, extending the school year or the school day, different summer programs, providing different learning supports like, after school programs or tutoring or small groups. Also different pupil supports. So providing counseling or mental health services or different health services. Also looking at assessments and progress monitoring so that we can see exactly where our students are and what supports and what interventions that they need. And then providing training to school staff to be able to provide all of these supports and interventions. And so I've been working with a lot of our surrounding school districts, kind of looking at how this grant can be used to best really, help our students to be able to get back some of those lost instructional minutes. And a lot of school districts, actually pretty much all of the school districts around us and a lot of our charter schools are looking at summer programs. And actually the governor and the state superintendent of schools, one of their big pushes with this grant money is to make sure that schools are providing some type of summer remediation or intervention programs. So in light of that, we're proposing that we provide a summer program for students. First targeting, and this is part of the state's initiative, is they want to make sure that first we're targeting those students either in our different subgroups, like our English learners, our low income students, and also targeting those students who are at risk of failing, or at risk or who are at least one grade level behind, or who are disengaged and struggling. So we're proposing a program where we first are going to look at determining eligibility based on assessment results, academic progress, those students who are currently in our intervention programs. And then if we have additional space, opening it up for additional students, because we want to make sure that we're reaching as many students as we possibly can with the program. We want to hold the program on the Saddleback Valley campus. We already have our special education extended school year program that we have every year that we hold on the Saddleback Valley campus. And so kind of to do that in tandem with this summer program. And instead of it just being, what a lot of people think of as, summer school, just sitting around and just kind of getting hounded with math and ELA facts. We want to make sure that it's really engaging for students, that students want to come to the program. They're excited about coming every day. And so we are going to, still provide that math and ELA intervention, but we want to kind of intertwine it with, fun science activities or hands-on projects, enrichment. That's where the full STEAM ahead comes in, really having a STEAM, a STEAM kind of piece to it that really engages and gets our students to want to come. So really, there will be a lot of enrichment activities infused into the intervention so that kids don't really know that they're there for intervention. They'll think that they're there to be in a really fun summer program. So in kind of lining it up with our extended school year program, we are proposing that it run from June 24th to July 22nd. We'll have an in-person cohort as well as a virtual cohort, because we do know that some parents are still not comfortable sending their students back to campus, just in kind of looking at the numbers that we were just looking at, where 30 to 40% of parents are still wanting to keep their students at home. But for the in-person cohort, what we thought of doing is doing that academic and enrichment piece in the morning, but also possibly partnering with the Boys and Girls Club to provide some sports and STEAM and enrichment and other fun activities for kind of 2 hours also as part of that program, so that the kids are really, again, excited about being there. They're getting to do a variety of different things. And then having that virtual cohort also, we don't want kids sitting on Zoom for 4 hours in the summertime. So really kind of paring that down to just the 2-hour, you know, kind of academic infused with STEAM program for about 2 hours. So basically teachers would be working about 5 hours a day. So 2 hours in the morning, 8:30 to 10:30 with their in-person groups, and then they would switch to have a virtual group after that, while the students were doing other enrichment, while the in-person students are doing other enrichment activities. We also, in order to encourage more students to come, we thought that if it was 4 days per week instead of 5 days per week, students would probably be a little happier having a 3-day weekend, especially since it's been a tough school year this year. So we want to still provide them with a little bit of a break. So again, we really want to make it super engaging with the STEAM activities. We're going to keep the class sizes pretty small, 15 to 20 students, so that teachers can really give more individual attention, have small groups. Like I said, provide both both virtual and in-person cohorts, and then have 2 hours of academic instruction, science projects, things like that, and then 2 hours of physical activity, kind of fun for those in-person students, and then the same 2 hours of STEAM-based academic instruction for our virtual cohort. So we put out a survey last week, kind of trying to gauge what the interest would be in a summer program, and there was a lot of interest. So it was a totally voluntary survey, and we just kind of wanted to see what parents were thinking. We had already about 305 families that were interested in the program, and you can kind of see the breakdown here. Really kind of heavy in those 2nd through 5th grade classes, a little bit lighter in the middle school, and then in the younger grades. But we also have a lot more students in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade just across the campuses. That's where our bubble grades are. So what we're kind of proposing in looking at the interest, as well as kind of looking at the data for those students who we have who are kind of falling a little bit behind, maybe struggling a little bit. We were proposing about 360 students in the summer, or having a program that would hold about 360 students. Again, this could kind of adjust as we're actually enrolling the kids. But we're hoping to be able to provide a pretty robust program and really make sure that we're able to serve all of our students who are struggling. That would entail about 12 teachers, 1 administrator just to kind of oversee things. We do need someone in the office to be able to answer the phones and kind of help out there. 2 instructional assistants, because we will have students who have IEPs and have different services that they need to get during the program. And then we already have our extended school year program for our special education students. And so as part of that program, it would be 1 special education teacher as well. But that's really, that program we do every year. So that's not actually additional. So for our ESY program, we've been paying teachers based on their kind of hourly rate, per diem hourly rate. And so we're looking at doing that based off of their current year, 2020, 2021 salary. That's, kind of what we've been doing for our summer program. So just keeping that the same. That would equal a projected staffing cost of about $64,000. And then we're going to be using our current curriculum, our current supplemental materials, and also Orange County Department of Education has created summer STEM activities for this exact purpose that they're providing free of cost to all Orange County districts and charter schools, so we can access those lessons as well. And then just for our facilities cost for utilities and things like that. So the projected cost is about 70,000 out of that $849,000 for the ELO money. And we'll take the allocation based on the number of students from each site that are attending the summer
Ready for bed?
program.
All right.
Sorry, I gotta mute. So based on the survey when we get to the action item in the end, we were proposing a little lower budget. But when we looked at how much interest we had, the survey actually just closed yesterday. We are going to ask to increase the program a little bit from having the 8 teachers to having up to 12 teachers. And so that would increase the proposed budget from about $50,000 to $70,000. But again, we really want to be able to provide the program to any students who need that extra support and intervention. And the ELO money, we're able to spend it from now through August of 2022. So kind of looking at this program, if this really works out and we get some really good data from it, we can also provide this same type of program for next summer using that same funding source. And then we'll be also at our next LCAP meeting talking about ways during the school year that we can also use that money to increase, after school programs or interventions and supports throughout the regular school year. So this would just be a piece of that extended learning opportunities grant that again, we would look at other ways that we can spend the rest of that money throughout the school year. So that's our proposal for our summer school program. Any questions?
I have a couple of questions for you, Amy. When it comes to teachers, do we have enough interest of teachers to want to do this program?
Yeah, so we surveyed teachers about a month ago, and I know we thought that it was going to be a limited number of teachers who wanted to do it based off of just the hectic school year that we've had. And we had incredible interest in it. So I think right now we have about 24 teachers who are actually interested in the program. So we'll have no problem staffing the program.
And then why are we, I know that you said that we're, using the special ed stuff that's happening at Saddleback. Why wouldn't we do this at both campuses if we have interest?
Well, it's going to be students from both campuses. It's just because we don't have the same amount of staff in the summertime as we do in the regular school year, it'd be very difficult to staff it at both campuses. So that's why we usually do the ESY program, even though it has students from both campuses, we do it at the one campus. It just makes it logistically and staffing wise and just for, utilities and materials and all of that. Most school districts do their summer school programs at just one site, just because it makes it logistically much easier to manage.
Okay, and the 2 aides that you were talking about, those aides are for special ed students?
Yeah, so they would be for supports for our special education students, but they also, just like our aides are now, they're in the classroom pushing in, and so they can provide supports and help to non-special education students as well during the same time.
So then I have another staffing question. Do we have enough aides for how many special ed students we could potentially have? And what are the options for increasing that if we need to?
So for our special education students, we don't have very many one-on-one aides. For the most part, the aides are working either with groups of students or they're providing, supports at different times for students. So with those 2 instructional assistants, we should be able to provide all of the services that we need for our special education students in the program. But if we're looking and it seems like we are going to need some more help in looking at kind of the numbers that we have, that seems to cover it. But we do, we have one aides in the normal school year. So we could look at increasing the number of aides as well if we need to.
Thank
So I
you.
had a couple questions as well. First off, based on your interest form, if people are still interested, can they still sign up? I mean, the
interest form wasn't actually a sign up. It's said there in a couple of places. It was really just for us to kind of gauge interest in how many people would want to do it. So first, we'll be sending out invites based on those criteria. And then if we have additional space open, then we'll probably open up a sign up, kind of like we did for coming back for the extended year. We'll open it up at a specific time and then kind of take people time stamped in to fill those open spots. So we'll be providing that opportunity as we get a little bit closer to the end of the year and determine exactly, how many of those students who are part of that first eligibility group are going to attend the program, and then how many spots we have left over.
And if once you get like a lot of signups and whatnot that exceed what you're projecting here, is there enough time to come back to the board to get additional funding? Because I just think the more we can help with learning loss and helping our kiddos with this, the better.
So we'll probably look around the end of May to start filling the program, and that will give us actually 2 more board meetings after that in June that we could technically add some more space to the program.
Awesome.
Luckily we have 2 board meetings in June. So
thank you, Amy. This is wonderful. I'm so happy we're doing this for our kids.
I'm really excited about it. I think our teachers and our staff is really excited about it as well, looking at just the interest that we've had to be part of the program. I think it's gonna be a really great thing for our students.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Okay, that leads us to, thank you very much, Dr. Amy. Items for discussion, for board discussion, strategic planning, item A. Delight, would you and Paul like to talk about that?
Paul is the chair.
I just made Paul the co-host, so you can.
Okay, so I can. I'll keep it quick as much as possible. This is sort of the best way for us, the strategic planning committee, to keep the broader community and also the full board apprised. So yeah, just keep that in mind, and please ask questions. And if you feel you need more information, we're happy to have further discussion. But we've met now twice. We met day before yesterday. Delight and I are representing the board in this committee. Amy, Jill, David from this, and then I think Chancellor Bridges was there, Deidre was there, and then we had one parent from SOC. We're still looking for additional stakeholders. If you're interested, please let us know. We met and we recapped sort of the discussions to date, and it's also helpful to recap that to the board. We presented last time. There was sort of two major vectors for strategic planning. One is strengthening the core, and the other one is planning for growth. I think generally we've aligned that we want to focus on strengthening the core, which then will also lead us to identifying new growth initiatives. As I said, we've already expanded to staff and parents, and hopefully, if we can, we'll also invite students at some point in time. We've also promised each other that we will carefully monitor and let the board know if we need like a dedicated project manager, even part-time, to come and continue as things heat up. Maybe we may need that. The big thing is focus groups. We're ready to launch. Amy mentioned that earlier. We are hoping to launch. We were initially thinking end of April or early May, but with the extended learning, the end of May, we decided we'll kind of give everybody a chance to get used to extended learning before we start burdening them with focus groups as well. And here here's where I want to take a quick segue and talk to particularly Amy Smith and Delight about, and Denelli about some sort of a partnership between the Academic Outcomes Committee and the Strategic Planning Committee. these focus groups, and I'll talk about it in the next page, we intend to have like a two-prong conversation, one sort of on the current state assessment and where we are. And obviously a big component of current state assessment would be academic outcomes. And I think we have a lot of good data from the LCAP survey as well, but maybe there are additional questions we want to ask, both in terms of current state, but also future aspirations. And when we go to the focus groups, I'll make it a little bit more tangible for you guys. What we also learned, we've learned a couple of things. One is we did get from our attorneys, we got like a high level view of what a timeline could look like. And, Jill sent us some materials as well, which seems to imply that if a growth initiative includes opening a new campus or a different school or whatnot, then it looks more like not academic year 2022-23. It's probably more 23-24, right? And so, so then on a high level, the thought process is that we'll really double down on strengthening the core between now, summer, maybe even in early fall, and then build on that momentum, have the initiatives launched, and then build on that momentum to identify the growth initiatives with the hope that hopefully towards the end of this year or starting next year, we can start executing on a growth initiative, right? So that's sort of the high level plan. Of course, we also know that there's several materials that were done 2 years back. They're dated, and that's why we're refreshing the survey, but we'll make sure that everyone has access to that. If you have any questions, stop me, but there's just a recap from last board meeting. Again, think about this as, we need to know what our mission vision is, where are we trying to get to, and then we say, okay, now we're going to come and do a current state assessment, and that's what we're going to focus on right now. But then, kind of strengthen the core based on our current state, and then also think about growth initiatives in the future, right? And so, but right now, before the end of the school year, we're trying to get at least the focus groups sorted out. This is sort of the focus group. Oh, sorry, is there a question? So we met yesterday, and day for yesterday, and we came to the conclusion that we'll start off with 3 focus groups. So one, a multi-campus, both staff and professor focus group, another one for both campus parents, and a third one for the middle school, 6th to 8th grade, or maybe even more. I mean, we're gonna leave it up to the teachers to decide whether they want to, how big they want to extend it. At some point in time, we would like to reach out to some people who have graduated from OPA who are in high school, because I've often heard high school preparedness as something critical for us as well. So it might be useful to talk to folks who have graduated from OPA, but we're not making that the focus at this point in time. And we want to have a discussion both about the long-term big picture, which is what are the mission, vision, aspirations. One thought here is we may come in with a pre-read that says, based on everything that we have today, here's sort of what an OPA child or OPA student ought to do, or ought to be able to do. Which of these are important? What are you learning? What are we missing? So we may already come in with some like something written down that people can react to, as opposed to having it completely open-ended. And of course, we want to look at current state assessment. As I was saying, the academic outcomes committee, if you guys can sort of help drive that discussion on the academic side, we will then layer on current state assessment about our facilities, our financials, anything else that wraps around the academics in our school as well. So, and the last bit, what I want to talk here to the board members is, I know each of you have expressed interest in making sure that you are also involved in the strategic plan, and our proposal is for the focus groups that there are 3 focus groups and 3 additional board members. So hopefully we can send out some sort of a sign-up sheet saying, okay, there's one for parents, one for teachers, one for students. Hopefully one of you can join each of those sessions, and Delight and I can attend. One of us could attend those sessions, and then that way we have no more than 2 board members in those focus groups. That way, you get to hear firsthand, at least from some focus groups as well. We discussed building out the facilitation guide. We're going to spend the next half a week to the middle of next week refining the facilitation guide among us. We'll share it with the full board as well. So you have your awareness of what types of questions you'll be able to sort of add feedback and, make suggestions. And, hopefully I'll be able to get the Academic Outcomes Committee involved as well. We think it's probably 60 to 90 minutes. We actually are still sorting out the logistics there. Amy and David have already said they're going to start reaching out and starting to solicit interest. And at this point in time, we're kind of keeping it open-ended, meaning that you don't have to write comment cards, or you can speak. We'll try to manage, and if the group becomes too big, we can make breakout sessions, because that's the power of Zoom. So that's a high-level update. I know I went quickly, but I did want to make sure that you guys have a chance to speak or ask questions as well. So Delight, Amy, Jill, David, anything to add from your perspective?
I think the one thing is, especially since people are watching the board meeting, is, we would encourage participation in the focus groups. We are looking for all perspectives of OPA as we kind of plan ahead. So if anyone has any interest, please be on the lookout for those invitations. We really want as many people as broadly as wide in our OPA community to give us feedback as we plan for the future.
Can I make a comment? Can we send out, I don't know if you guys have done that. Did you guys already send out an interest form out on the Sunday message or anything like that to the parents, just to let them know that this is happening and that you are looking for stakeholders or committee members? We could do that. That would probably be a good thing to do.
We haven't sent it out yet, but we will be sending that out in the Friday messages and the Sunday message.
And Denali, we already have one parent from SOC. We met him as part of our ED recruitment as well, and he'd expressed interest in getting involved more. I believe Amy's talked to one or two parents on the SV campus as well, and we're trying to confirm participation as well. But the focus groups will go out to everybody. But if others want to join the planning committee, the strategic planning board committee, that's perfectly valid as well.
Well, and then we also had, when we were interviewing the board for new board members, we had some people that were interested in even if they weren't part of the selected as a board member, that they were interested in participating at a higher level. So maybe that'd be a good people to reach out to as well.
That'd be great. Jill, you probably have those names, right?
You're on mute, Jill.
Unmute, Jill.
Oh, I'm just talking away to myself, right? Not good. Yeah, I do. I definitely have that information, that contact information on file. We can reach out.
Paul, I just want to share, of course, from the academic committee side, we're going to do whatever we can to align our discussions and get the infuse what we're doing with the strategic plan. So if you just want to send me very specifically any timeline or questions you'd like to have answered that we could focus on in our next meeting, that would be great. I was also wondering too, with input that was given through the LCAP process, I'm sorry if you already spoke to this, but is that input maybe being infused into some of this as well in some way? Do you want to talk about that at all? Because I'm sure that was...
Yeah, I'm sure Amy or the chancellors can speak better about it, but I'm just involved in the LCAP process. I thought there was a lot of great data, incredible amount of data at quite a granular level that I think would be very useful for you guys as well if you haven't seen it. What I know the next step process, which I think LCAP's meeting is coming up, is that they're going to talk about practical initiatives on improving those specific outcomes, which I think is important and interesting for in order to accomplish the specific goals that the LCAP has laid out. What I was more thinking is that the strategic planning committee or the academic outcomes committee would actually identify completely different outcomes that we may be interested in looking at it from a broader perspective beyond sort of the LCAP, right? But I fully agree with you that those would completely inform the strategic plan. And Amy, to your prior question, right now we are not looking for any kind of work item from the group other than saying we would love to make sure that if you have questions that you want answered or if you want information and feedback from the focus groups, we would love to add that to the facilitation guide. And obviously, we starting to do the facilitation guide. So if you and Denali and the others in the committee have ideas on what types of questions or what types of discussion you want to have, I would love to put that all in one facilitation guide. And hopefully all you, Raymond, Denali will also be in each of those focus groups. So you'll be able to ask those questions and have that facilitation as well, right? So we're looking at this focus group as a combined focus group for you guys for the academic portion, but for us for everything wrap around the academic side as well. That's what we're hoping to do. I think that'll be a killing two birds in one stone, so to speak. And I think, you know, one other thing I'll say is it's very important that I think Delight agrees with me as well. It's very important that the three of you feel, you know, I think I can have any kind of conversation with everybody and keep them all appraised. The three of you, it's hard to give that level of information, right? And so, and we have like literally 5 or 10 minutes to discuss this in these board meetings. So, you know, at some point in time, we'll have to say, okay, we have to have dedicated sessions where we have more thoughtful discussions. Right now, there's not too many insights to share with you. We don't have any work items, so it's okay. But yeah, I think eventually we'll need to spend more time discussing this in an agendized session. So, you know, we have more input and more feedback from you guys.
Okay, good work, Paul. That leads us to our items for action. Approve amendments to the OPA Conflict of Interest Code. The OPA Conflict of Interest Code is amended with updated language and designated employee positions. It's recommended that the Board of Directors approve action item A. Is somebody going to present on this?
I'd be happy to present on that. So conflict code of interest is our conflict of interest policy. It has different parts. The first part explains what the policy is and also who it applies to. The purpose of it is to follow Government Code 1090, which prohibits public officials and public employees from making public contracts in which they have financial interests. So again, it's a clearly stated policy, and the exhibit, the second portion of it names it names the positions, whether they be employees or board members, that have to disclose interests that would in fact impact contracts. So we filed these positions, file Form 700s with the made available to the county board of supervisors. So we need to update it to again, it has the language about the 1090 in there, which we've always followed. But secondly, the designates, again, the positions, the names of the positions have changed. So it's not so much different people will be filing Form 700s, the disclosure forms, or the forms that really say we don't have any conflict of interest, but we've just updated the titles. The titles were old, they were used. I think, when this administration first came in, and we've made them appropriate to the positions that currently are held. Again, there's nobody who's not disclosing, but again, we're just sort of kind of right sizing the name of the title.
And there's just one edit that needs to be made on the Director of Financial Services. We just need to fix that to say Director of Fiscal Services to match with the actual job title and job description. So we'll make that update as well.
And the facilities manager is now under a chief operating officer. So that's not a job that just got taken out. It was just moved under that. The title was consolidated.
Yes.
Yes, as you know, we consolidated a lot of admin positions.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you for that, Jill. So we're looking for a motion to approve action item A, amendment of OPA Conflict of Interest Code. May I have a motion, please?
I make a motion to approve action item A.
Thank you, Delight. May I have a second?
I second the motion.
Thank you, Denali. Okay, let's do a roll call. Agarwal,
Aye.
Jackson, I, Paul Kagoo,
Aye.
Amy Smith,
Aye.
and Delight Travis. Delight, are you there?
Sorry, I thought I was unmuted.
All right. Nope, sorry. Okay, great. This motion carries unanimously. Thank you for that. Okay, item B for action, approve amendments to the homeless education policy. Local educational agencies must ensure that children and youth experiencing homelessness are able to participate fully in school activities and that barriers to identification, enrollment, and retention in school are identified and removed. Amendments to the OPA homeless education policy comply with the federal and state requirements. It's recommended that the board of directors approve action item B. Is somebody going to present on this?
I am. So this board policy is actually a required board policy. Our previous board policy was very limited in its language, and it didn't meet all of the requirements under Ed Code. And so we utilized the California School Board Association's model policy in order to make sure that our policy had all of the required elements in it. So for this policy, it really states that we will provide services, equitable services for any students experiencing homelessness. Also, there are pieces in there for us to be able to provide our McKinney-Vento or a survey to students when they're registering, where they can identify whether they are homeless, so that it would cause those some different things to be put in place, including any homeless or any student who is exhibiting or who is homeless gets to receive free meals through the school lunch program. It also ensures that students are getting placed in school immediately upon registering. In our case, also, meeting our lottery requirements, but that they're getting put into their educational program, and that we're making sure that we are reporting our number of homeless students at least annually to the board, and those outcomes for our homeless students. And we do that as part of our LCAP process, as well as part of our process when we're reporting our test scores and for any homeless students that we have. At OPA, we normally have a very small percentage of students experiencing homelessness, but we do want to make sure that we're meeting all of their needs and that we're following, all of the legal requirements for making sure that we're providing them with free meals, with equitable education, and allowing them to participate in any types of extracurricular activities or programs that we have on our campus. So this board policy will again align us with all of the requirements that are mandated through Ed Code for us to have in both our program for homeless students as well as the board policy around it. Any questions? You're muted, Raymond.
Sorry, I don't have any questions. I think we'll get back to that agenda item. So there we go. It's recommended that the board of directors approve action item B, homeless education policy. May I have a motion, please?
I'll motion to approve action item B.
Okay, we have Amy Smith made a motion and Paul seconded. Did I hear that right, Paul?
Yes, second.
Oh, okay, great. Okay, great. Let's do a roll call. Danelli,
Aye.
Jackson, I, Paul,
Aye.
Amy,
Aye.
and Delight.
Aye.
Okay, this motion carries unanimously to approve action item B. Action item C, approve OPA full steam ahead summer program. The COVID-19 pandemic and school closures led to a decrease in instructional minutes for students and subsequently caused some students to fall below grade level standards. In order to provide support for these students and reach grade level of mastery, OPA is proposing a summer program, Full Steam Ahead, where students will receive academic intervention with STEAM enrichment opportunities. The program will be initially offered to students based on academic performance, but any additional seats will be open to all OPA students. The program will be offered both in person and virtually. The program will be funded by Extended Learning Opportunities Grants, which is ELOG, and will cost approximately $55,000. It's recommended the Board of Directors approve action item C. I think we heard a lot about this already from Amy before. Thank you for that. May I have a motion to approve action item C?
Sorry, I'd just like to amend this to say that it will cost approximately $70,000. Based on our interest, we did increase the number of students. So I just ask that motion be amended to include
Be approved as amended for 75,000, is that right?
70.
70,000,
motion.
okay, 70,000.
I make a motion to amend it to the 70,000 to approve the STEAM Ahead program.
Okay, great. May I have a second, please?
Second.
Paul, second. Excellent. Roll call, Danelli,
Aye.
Jackson, I, Paul,
Aye.
Amy,
Aye.
and Delight.
Aye.
Excellent. This motion carries unanimously. Action item C is approved as amended for 70,000. Okay, that leads us to the last action item, approve compensation increase for executive director. The base salary compensation is retroactively increased to reflect the board approved OPA 2019 to 2021 salary schedule and comparable data. And so make sure I get this right here. Okay, so essentially the board would like to explain that Jill did not receive her step progression on the salary schedule to which she was entitled for her last 2 years of employment. And as a result, the board is approving a retroactive increase to her compensation. The board would like to take action to increase her salary to $180,000 retroactive to July 1st, 2019 through June 30, 2020, and then to $185,000 retro to July 2020 through the end of her employment this year, which is June 30, 2021. So that's what's on the table. May I have a motion to approve action item D, to approve that compensation for Jill retroactively?
I have a question. Do we approve it and then just have David show what our regular salary schedule is? I mean, is that of import to our
Certainly
audience?
can. Yeah. Yes. So let's make a motion in a second, then we can have some discussion about it.
I make a motion to
Okay. Danelli?
discuss increase.
I second.
I seconded.
Okay. So motion by Danelli, and this is a motion not to discuss. This is a motion to approve, and then we can discuss it, and then we can vote on it. And then the second by Paul. Did I hear that right?
Yes.
Sound like a tie, but I didn't hear if it was Amy or Delight. Okay, so we're gonna say motion by Danelli and second by Paul. And so David, do you want to share the salary schedule? Oh, looks like you already have it up there.
Yeah, I put it up there. This is our
Thank
current
you.
salary schedule.
Thank you, Dr. Kernan.
Excellent. Okay.
So the salary.
Can you zoom that in just a little tiny bit?
So the salary schedule, as approved by the board, is for 2019 to 2021. And the executive director is listed here. Ms. Mark's original contract, fixed term contract with the organization was at $175,000 for compensation. And as you'll see on the salary schedule, step 2 and step 3 is what Mr. Jackson just shared at 180 and 185 respectively, to compensate, for that retroactive pay is what the proposal is.
And so for further clarification, I just want to go through this, is that
Sure.
Jill is at 175. She didn't receive her step increase or her step progression. So we're just making this correct retroactively.
Yes, because Ms. Marks was eligible for performance-based merit increases based on, according to her original contract.
Okay. So it's nothing new. This is just something that we're doing to make it correct for at this point in time.
That's right.
And the retroactive compensation totals out to $10,000.
That's correct. Less any applicable withholdings, taxes, that kind of thing.
I think it's 15,000, but
15.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, thank you.
No, it's actually 10.
Yeah, I thought it
It's
was
just 10.
It's actually 10 because first year is 175, second year is 180, third year is 185.
Okay.
Okay, does that make sense?
Mhm. Raymond, are you on mute?
Yeah, Paul, so I think what Paul's saying is if it goes up 5 the second year, it would have gone up 5 the second and the third year.
Yeah.
And then the third year gone up 5, which would be, that get us to 15. Right, so yes, it didn't go up the first year, but the second year it went up 5, which would be the second and the third, which he didn't get. And then the third year to go up 5, and so that'll be 15.
Correct.
And so Paul and I have, he's got wicked math skills, and then
Cumulative. You're right,
Right.
cumulative. I get it. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So any additional questions from the board? Okay. So then we'll move to a roll call vote. We have a motion and a second. We'll move to a roll call vote. And we'll go backward this time, just for fun. Delight,
Aye.
Amy,
Aye.
Paul,
aye.
Raymond, I, and Danelli.
Aye.
Aye, okay. This motion carries unanimously to approve the compensation increase for the executive director retroactively. And I already read that piece about the board would like to explain that Jill did not receive her step progression on the salary schedule to which she was entitled. So I read that piece already. So now we're up to item for action number 12, adjournment. It is recommended the board of directors adjourn the regular meeting of Oxford Preparatory Academy, April 22, 2021. May I have a motion, pretty please?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you, Delight. All right. And a second, pretty please.
Second,
All right, Paul, we do a roll call. Paul,
aye.
Jackson, I, Amy Smith,
Aye.
Delight Travis,
Aye.
Danelli Agarwal.
Aye.
All right, this meeting is adjourned at 9:23. Thank you all, and congratulations, Jill.